Welcome to another interesting and informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. I am Adrian Atkinson. On today's show, we wrap up our discussion on the readiness of schools, the non-mandatory contributions, and the ministry's commitment to the education system. Please stay with us as we make a brief stop at the news desk before we begin that discussion.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale and this is your GIS News for Thursday, September 1. Secondary schools will get their second tranche of tuition funding from the Education Ministry in the second week of September. Portfolio Minister Senator Ruel Reid, who made the announcement yesterday, says the third tranche of payment is also likely to be made before the previously announced December timeline. Primary schools, meanwhile, have received their first-term grants and their maintenance grants, which have increased by 90%. And schools' accounts will receive funds for their nutrition programs during the first week of September.
Over 130,000 early child students will be provided with breakfast and lunch, while other schools will be provided with funding to prepare lunches.
As it helps schools prepare for the September 5 start of the academic year, the ministry has also committed to completing the delivery of over 35,000 pieces of furniture. In addition, Minister Reid says all critical infrastructure repairs to schools will be completed before next Monday.
Some $70 million has been set aside for renovation or modification works leading to the creation of 30 infant departments and 15 primary schools for partitioning.
And the ministry is spending $800 million to provide core books under the National Textbook Loan Scheme and the Primary Textbook Program this year.
The delivery of books to schools is on the way as I speak and will be completed by September 30th, 2016. Schools are, however, reminded that titles which appear on the 2016-2017 approved textbook list must not, and I repeat, must not be included on schools' book list.
Still on education, the Caribbean Examinations Council CXC has decided to accept the outstanding school-based assessment SBA samples of students of Caenwood High School. Minister Ruel Reid made the announcement during yesterday's back-to-school press conference. 40 students of the St. Andrew-based institution had received ungraded scores for 6 subjects in this year's CSEC exams due to their school's failure to submit samples of their SBAs by the July 31 deadline. The ministry lobbied the CXC to change the decision, and Senator Reid says the move to accept the outstanding SBAs is part of the appeal process. Once the SBAs have been submitted, the review should be completed by next week and a final decision made. In the meantime, Minister Reid says the students are in the process of applying for employment or sixth form, and the ministry is offering its support with that. In other news, the National Solid Waste Management Authority NSWMA is warning persons to desist from using an illegal dump site in the Bedward Gardens community or face the full force of the law. NSWMA's Chief Technical Officer Audley Gordon delivered the warning after touring the area yesterday. He told JIS News that the garbage being dumped at the site, which occupies a large land area in the community, appears to be coming from major construction projects and not domestic waste.
What I see here is clear that truckloads and truckloads of trucking of debris and sand and old marl and old blocks and all that. So this is not a domestic garbage issue.
Insisting that the illegal operation poses a risk to human life and the environment, Mr. Gordon says NSWMA's enforcement department will be tasked with making this their first priority.
And they will be collaborating with the Jamaica Constabulary Force and, if necessary, the Jamaica Defence Force to put an end to this. We are going to be looking out to find the first one that we can charge and make an example that people know that we are serious and deadly serious to put an end to this illegal activity.
He says the NSWMA will also be seeking to ascertain if the land is owned by the University of the West Indies, to engage them and various government stakeholders, including NEPA and the Mines and Geology Department, on the implications of the illegal operation. Effective today, the National Health Fund (NHF) has doubled the pharmaceutical subsidy it provides for children 0 to 18 years old. This will apply to children who are registered on the NHF card program.
Kids with asthma, epilepsy, psychosis, diabetes, and a number of other ailments. And some families that we have found on our program have more than one child with a chronic illness. So it is a huge burden for families, and we felt that it was important that we increase the benefit to children.
NHF's chairman was addressing a JIS think tank session on Wednesday. The NHF previously covered about 40% of the costs for drugs to this age group, but will now increase that to an average of 80%. The cost to the agency will move from approximately $26 million to $70 million annually. About 12,000 children are expected to benefit. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Tamar McHale. Thanks for watching.
We have championed e-learning in Jamaica, provided state-of-the-art technology in over 200 educational institutions, developed materials for CSEC, piloted the Tablets in Schools project in 38 schools, including infant and primary, and trained thousands of teachers in technology integration. We are eLearning Jamaica Company Limited, ELJAM, an agency of the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. Visit our website, www.elearnja.org.
Up next is the conclusion of our discussion on the preparation of schools for the new academic year. In this segment, views on the non-mandatory contribution are expressed by one principal and parent representatives. Education Minister Senator Will Reid and his Chief Education Officer, Dr. Grace McLean, are also part of the conversation. It's the JIS Special Forum on Education.
Welcome back to this JIS Special Forum on Education. And I now want to throw to you, Venti Brown, Principal of Spanish Town High School. If as the Minister and the Chief Education Officer have explained this policy of non-mandatory auxiliary fees is so much in the interest of schools, if non-traditional schools like yours were not getting the contributions anyway, we're way below what you were required, and you are getting much more now, there should be loud choruses of support for this policy. How come it seems that the policy is under fire from principals? What are we missing? Give me your views on this. The policy itself, what's your take?
Well, from Spanish Town High School, I really don't speak from a chorus background. Yes. And I think...
How many students are there?
2,400.
2,400?
We have 111 teachers.
That's a lot.
And it's a shift school. Mm-hmm. So you could really just imagine how we manage throughout the day. The policy is a welcome change for Spanish Town High School.
Welcome change?
Welcome change. It basically creates a 50% increase in our revenue from the Ministry of Education. We used to charge $2,000 for auxiliary fee.
Just
$2,000. Yeah. And the compliance rate was, I don't want to be, less than 1%.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not exaggerating.
Less than 1%?
And I can go a little further. And now we charge, the overall fee that we charge now is $6,500 for new students, $1,000 for PTA. Yeah. And since Monday of this week, I had to sign letters giving parents time to pay the $6,500. Parents even asked for time as far as maybe January 2017. So for a school like Spanish Town High School with a low compliance rate in terms of collection of fees, it is a welcome change. Very welcome change. Just last week alone, we received $5 million from the Ministry of Education towards the construction of 2 new classrooms. It's a far way ahead. We need maybe about 18 more to come off shift. But it's a welcome change.
Next year we get the rest.
Yes. I'm currently in dialogue with TVET Rationalization. They have provided $2.5 million towards my science lab for equipment. We'll be getting $1.5 million towards the auto mechanic department and $1 million towards home ec. This is a situation that we could not have managed ourselves, just collecting the fees. Right now, we are far in advance in terms of preparing for back to school. We have a very good tech work structure in the school. So the chairs, the benches, the desks, all of those are repaired at school. We just purchase the material. And having received that first tranche payment in June, it placed us in a better position to purchase enough of what we need for September. So we have maybe about 3 days left to prepare for school. And those 3 days basically includes meeting with the senior staff and the general staff, nothing to do with the general maintenance of the plan. So I would want to see this policy become a policy for life in a sense, because I accept that Spanish High School is a non-traditional high school. Yes. We are in one of the hardest communities. It's true. Where we sit right on Young Street in the center of Spanish Town. The socioeconomic standards in terms of parents and the students are very, very hard. So for parents to be coming to ask for extra time to pay $6,500, you just can imagine how challenging it is for them. It is not our position to turn it back either. So we have to try to do whatever we can do to ensure that we facilitate them. Just last week, we received maybe about 3 truckload of books from the Ministry of Education to boost our book rental system.
Strong support from the ministry.
Well, Spanish High School, and as I said, needs to be placed or earmarked as a national project. Yeah. I tell people if we fix Spanish High School, we fix maybe 65% of some of the challenges in Spanish Town itself.
Well, you know, you have our commitment, so you have committed to work with Spanish Town to make your school a model school for Jamaica. I transform other schools, and I'm certainly going to work with my CEO to ensure that Spanish Town High becomes an exemplar of excellence.
Thank you for that national commitment. Mr. Minister. But we really have those challenges, and we are moving away from them. And parents the minister even mentioned that parents could make a contribution, a parental contribution, and we did not include that in our structure because it was a challenge to collect the $2,000 for the auxiliary fees. So it would be a waste of time to print that on the paper for the parents because it will not be paid. So we have to rely on, in terms of sports, to pull what we can from Tuck Shop, which is already overburdened. But we are getting there. I'm in dialogue with the regional director, Ms. Sonia Eslap, to see how we can move forward in terms of setting up a computer lab at the school, and she's helping with us. She's helping with all of those requests.
Excellent. I want to come to Mrs. Headley-Smith. You're representing the parents here, the parents' voices. As I said, this policy seems to be in the interest of parents and so on. I mean, what is your take? How significant is this? What distress parents were in before this clear, unequivocal policy from the ministry? No child must be sent back. You know, a child must not be penalized at all. Exam results must be held up because the child has not been paid. The name must be blared on any microphone system or put anywhere. How important are these commitments?
Well, let me start by saying whenever there's change, there's going to always be some kind of resistance. And despite the commitment from the ministry, parents are still a little hesitant because there's a wait-and-see attitude. Yes, the promises have been made, and we're not going to say we don't have faith in the minister or the ministry, but at the same time, we just want to see it happen. It's almost like a miracle. Parents in general have been concerned because, like Mr. Brown, I'm from the Spanish Town area, and, you know, around the school community is quite depressed, right? Quite a few of the parents are hardworking, and I don't mean hardworking in an office, I mean on the road. They're hustlers, they're taxi drivers, they're household helpers, but regardless, their children are doing exceptionally well. If you've paid close attention to the Jonathan Grant High School, over the years you've produced very high CXC results, despite the constraints. The population is pretty much the same. School compound is very small. We have classrooms designed for maybe 18 or 20 students, but it holds 30 or 50 students. Regardless, the students are learning and doing very well. In terms of school fees, there's always been difficulty in paying the school fees. And we do know that even outside of Jonathan Grant, there are many schools where, yes, as you mentioned, the CXC results are held because school fees have not been paid. Just last week, I got called from a young lady who graduated from a Portmore High School, and she's concerned that her parents did not pay her last school fees, and she's unable to get her results. And she wants to know.
So that's a fact. People are saying that's not so, and nobody was penalized.
It is happening right across Jamaica. I know of many cases.
Yes.
And it's really regretful. But at the end of the day, I believe that this initiative by the ministry, by the government, is a way out for many parents. The truth is they cannot afford. Now, there's a flip side. I do not appreciate the freeness mentality, and I'm sure many parents do not as well. But guess what? They are the poor among us, and they have been overlooked for a very long time, and we need to give them an opportunity to advance themselves. So I look forward to it. I welcome it. I'm apprehensive myself, but I just want to see it work. I want to see the results. I want to also be assured, the minister said it, but I want to be assured that there will be no compromise in the school system, the operational system of the school. That is critical to me.
Yes.
And I could go on and on.
All right. Everton.
The parents have been contributing to education from we became a part of the education system transformation program started some 10 years ago. That was one of the singular elements which involved that coming together, parenting and the involvement of parents in the educational process and in the lives of their child as it relates to education. We have been contributing, we have built schools, we have built classrooms, we have contributed to science blocks. So we are not opposing to any contribution, especially quality education and the maintenance of quality education. What is important is the involvement of parents in the decision-making process. And many schools, they have gone ahead and come up with some humongous fees without the engagement and the consultation with the parents. And one of the reasons why I find some resistance, there's a school that I won't call, which is on Reddy's Road. I have seen a book of voucher, $42,000, and it does not say what are the areas that you are paying for.
$42,000?
$42,000. And so therefore the individual came to me with significant amount of concern about that cost, especially when the ministry has just announced there are some charges that should not be paid for. And so I said to her, you let us go to the ministry because there's a complaint line that the ministry has established that you can make necessary those complaints. Parents are waiting and seeing. I would say after the first semester, then I'll be able to give a real response. But there are some are apprehensive, as you said, and some are very welcoming of the idea. Because any attempt made to reduce any expenses towards any matter is welcomed by parents. How you use whatever additional surplus you might have in terms of contributing in the same way to the quality of education in your school. And so therefore you'll find that in some schools, if you used to pay $5,000 last year, they would have come to some understanding to say, okay, PT, we are going to still pay that $5,000. So in addition to the support that the ministry will provide, you will get the same $5,000 from the parents because they are keen on quality education in terms of the school that their children or their child or their ward attend. And so some are. But we just want to engage the parents to ensure that whatever decision is made on the benefit, on behalf, and in consultation with parents. And I don't think parents are going to oppose.
And the more the parents are involved in the life of the school, the more they'll be able to know
Quite so.
what is going on and what is really needed. And therefore,
Absolutely.
why they need to contribute.
That is why we applaud the initiative and the statement made by the minister that schools are now mandated to ensure that PTAs are established, and the minister sent out in a bulletin that schools are now mandated. Yes, because that's a different story. Many schools and the administration, they are straight opposed to PTAs.
Can I tell you?
Opposed.
Yes. So you welcome the ministers mandating it.
Yes. You see, the challenge is, most schools feel like they're a bank. Schools need to get away from the fact that they're not a commercial bank. So we want to have accounts with $150 million saving up. Yet still we have the roof tearing down. Students are not having enough things for class. So I think that's the challenge, not pointing to any school in particular, because there are schools in Jamaica that could easily send a check to Spanish Town High School of $40 million and they didn't shake them to assist with construction of our classroom. So I think what the minister pointed out in terms of schools operating like a financial institution, that needs to be addressed. If the money is in the school to be spent for the development of the school and the betterment of the lives, educational lives of the students, that's the purpose. So I think we need to realize we're not a bank, we're an educational institution.
Rosemary, you wanted to come in?
Yes, I was just endorsing what Mr. Arnold said about the parents' involvement. At Jonathan Grant High, we have the PTA has management meeting with the principal and vice principals. We make decisions together. We're meeting with the principal. We threw it out at our PTA meetings. We had a unanimous decision at our last meeting in June when we met with the parent body that we were going to be making our contribution of $5,000 regardless of.
Excellent.
Mark you, the entire PTA body did not turn up. But we had roughly 600 members who agreed that we are going to make a contribution. Because at the time, we didn't get all the necessary information we would have wanted. That was still pretty early. But we wanted to make sure that there would be no compromise at all. And so we decided to make our contribution. It is critical that the parents be kept in the dialogue. It makes no sense that we sit in a corner, make our decision, and we present it to parents. We're the ones who are going to pay it. We're the ones who need that sense of assurance, and it's critical that we're involved.
But you know what I'd like to say again, encourage, because I'm going to put it out in the public in terms of areas of expenditure for schools. So yes, it's wonderful to hear we're collecting money, but again, I'm charging the parents to equally make sure your voice are heard in terms of how the money is going to be spent.
Yes.
Because if it is just Manning Cup and Chams that we're going to spend the money on, is that really adding value? We've had some decline in math. What are the initiatives to improve the exam result? Because remember, in our initiative here, we are funding all the human resources required by the schools. So I would certainly like to know the additional resources that the schools are going to be collecting. What is it that they're going to be doing? Are they building some new computer labs? Are they bringing in some new computers and some teaching, learning resources? Are they improving their library facilities? So the
schools must be more accountable, Minister. But it's
upon
a democratic way.
Parents need to hold schools accountable.
Make your decision.
Thank you very much. That is what that's what we're asking.
More accountability.
Going back to the PTA, not many PTA board understands the authority that they have. And so the principal comes to them and just makes suggestions, and they accept and they move on. One PTA president told me last year that he did not have access to the PTA funds. And I'm asking him, so how did the school get it?
That's a discussion that has to be entertained. Some schools have two accounts. One that the PTA funds go into, and the one that the government subvention go into. So that one is not regular check. So that is good when the minister requested financial statement and from the schools.
You back that?
Yeah, so fully. Make sure they also send you all accounts being held by the school. Because their account, they tell me the two accounts.
Comprehensive.
They send me the two accounts, and the money the PTA fees go into a separate account. And I say the school fee, no, it go into a different account. I say, okay.
CEO.
Well, just to say, sir, that the ministry is playing a supportive role. We are here to support those who are on the ground where the rubber hits the road. We are aware of the challenges. Some of the challenges we are not even about to imagine. But we would like to encourage our parents, encourage our principals and our teachers to make contact with our regional offices, say what the challenges are. Do not believe that you can just solve them on your own. We are here who can look at it from a global perspective and can garner resources or reallocate resources to make sure that the quality of education does not suffer. And importantly, the duty of care for each Jamaican child that is placed in our institution.
Minister, is it that you're pumping this $5 billion now into education, making it unnecessary for schools to mandate fees because you're starving early childhood education? Is it that you really should be putting more into early childhood education because it doesn't make sense at the secondary level? You're having all of these persons, students who are illiterate. You're rubbing from Peter to paper.
Not at all. In fact, you know, my approach has always been to be very strategic and try also to deal with all the issues simultaneously rather than, again, precisely what people are asking to deal with one against the other. Because, you know, I've said to the person similarly that the curriculum in the early childhood prime is different from secondary. So the preparation for GSAT is not the same preparation for CSEC, right? So therefore, if we want good CSEC results, we have to have resources that support all levels of the system. Now, in regards to what is before us in terms of early childhood.
Are you still supporting that strongly?
But we have articulated a 0 to 29 strategy. A zero, when we made it clear that our ministry is responsible for children, youth, and we have a 0 to 20, from the womb to 29. By the time they reach 29, they almost have a master's degree. Okay. And we are saying we're going to roll out September a comprehensive early stimulation program that captures all the pregnant women and the newborn, so we can work with them to make sure that the children are properly cared for from in the womb and the early years, postnatal, and they're going to the clinic and get their medication, and that they're intellectually and cognitively they're well stimulated and developed. Because brain development, 85% of brain development occurs between 0 and 3, not after 3. So even before we get them at 3.5, 4, we have to make sure that all that groundwork is being done. Now, as we are structured, there's an early child commission. We have put together a very, very strong early child commission membership, and they're doing an excellent work in terms of regulation, in terms of certification, in terms of attracting resources. There's a lot of private sector resources that are in fact going into early child, including what the diaspora is going to be.
So in short, you're not neglecting early child?
Absolutely not. As we speak, we are doing a rationalization, adding more basic and infant school to the government system. So the government itself is taking on far more responsibility for early childhood, and we are spending more. I'm spending 90% more on that sector. Next year, we're going to also increase by another 150% the funding for the early child and primary sector.
That's an important. So in fact, more money is being spent on early child education.
Absolutely. And I think we should be commended that my team has worked very hard with me to look at the existing resources, reorganize our processes at the ministry to free up these kind of resources, so we've been able to pump back in the system that has taken care of both the early child level as well as the secondary.
Thank you very much.
Including some tertiary institutions are also benefiting. And in fact, we're building 2 state-of-the-art early child facilities in this year's budget as well. One in West Bullen and one at Sam Sharp.
We need enough
in Montego Bay.
Forum. This has been an enlightening forum, a special looking at education. A lot of the issues which have been in the public square have been answered fairly and squarely today. We've had with us the Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Senator Honorable Royal Reid, Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Grace McLean, President of the National Parent Teachers Association, Everton Anam, Principal of the Spanish Town High School, Mr. Bentley Brown, and immediate past PTA President and past board member of the Jonathan Grant High School, Mrs. Rosemary Headley Smith. We thank you for your company. I'm Ian Boyne. Until next time, wishing you a good day.
Thanks for your company on Jamaica Magazine. I hope you were informed. If you want to continue the conversation on the readiness of schools, call the Ministry of Education at 922-1400 or visit them at 2 National Heroes Circle, Kingston 4. This is where we log off for today, but you can stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm or tweet at JISnews. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.